Hello everyone, it's Jennifer here. In this video, I'm going to show you how to perform the momentum test. This is my sample data. I have 10 stocks. Similar to the previous video, I will first flatten the dataset. I go to Pivot Wizard, click on multiple consolidation ranges. I will create the pay fields, select the data, click on Add, Next, New Worksheet, Finish, go to the last cell and double click. Now this is your flattened dataset. I will copy this into a new sheet, removing all the formatting, and rename this sheet into Momentum. Change this into short date format. I rename all the columns. Now I will go back and delete all of the sheet that I don't need. Okay. The momentum test has 4 steps. In the first step, I will calculate the prior 6-month returns of each month during my sample period. In the second step, for each month in my investing period, I will sort stocks from low to high according to the prior 6-month returns. I will then put them into portfolios. I long the top performing portfolio and short the worst performing portfolio based on the prior 6-month returns. I will repeat the process for every month in my sample period, and eventually I evaluate the profitability of the strategy. Similar to the out of the sample test, I will first filter data for each stock. So let's save this into a macro enable workbook. Okay. Now I open the VBA window and insert a module. Click on Insert Module. To create a module, again I will type sub. I'll give my module a name, say Momentum. Press Enter. You see the end sub is now automatically appear. I will use the advanced filtering function to filter the data by ticker. First, I will create a column includes all the unique ticker in my dataset. Go to Data, click on Remove Duplicates. Click on My Data has headers. Right, so now I have 10 stocks. Actually, I will change the stock 1 to stock 1A. This is because for some problems, the filter function would filter for both stock 1 and stock 10 when I filter for stock 1. I hope it doesn't happen in your data set. Okay, so this is my unique ticker range. For the filtering function to work, I will create a criteria range. I filter data based on the ticker, so the header will be ticker. I will fill for all of the data here. So I copy the headers into a new table. Okay, the first step is to define all the data ranges. I go back to my VBA window, dim red data. I defined my original data as red data. set red data equal to range. So it starts from cell A1 including the headers, and it's going to cell C191. I defined the unique ticker variable uticker as range and set uticker equal to range E2 to E11. Now I define my criteria range. I call that the select ticker range. And that's the two cells G1 to G2. Now I define the header for the copy to range. The header is starting from I1 to K1. I define that as the stop data. Now I will create a for loop so that the data will field for each of the value in the unique ticker range. I type for x equal from 1 to 10 because I have 10 stock. Before I forget, I end this for loop with next x. Now between for(x) and next x, I will use the advanced filtering function. The advanced filtering function will start with the original data name dot advanced filter space. Now I will declare the action. I type actions colon equal XL filter copy. Comma criteria range. I will type criteria range. My criteria range is the select ticker range, so column equal uticker. Oh, I'm sorry. That should be the select ticker, right? We go back and change it later. The copy to range will be the 3 headers, so that the stock data range. And finally, I want unique value, so I type unique equal to true. For each value of x, I will assign each of the ticker name into this select ticker range, into the cell 2 of the select ticker range. So I will type select ticker cell 2, right? That should be select ticker. Right, so you got select ticker cells 2. That should refer to G2, right? And that should equal to the uticker cells x. So you see now when x increments by 1, it will fill in the select ticker with each of the value, with each of the ticker name. So you see now when you type F8, it has filled the data for the first stop for me. Can go for another round. Now it moves to the second ticker, and in this table it filled the data for stop 10 for me. Okay. I'll make a note here, filtering data for each stock. Now after filtering this data for each of these stocks, we need to calculate the prior 6-month returns. Okay, so for example, this is my investing period. Right, so for each month in this investing period, I need to calculate the prior 6-month returns. So the prior 6-month returns will be the cumulative returns in the previous 6 months, excluding the very last month. In order to do that, I think that it would be easier if I compute the cross returns first. So the cross return is simply 1 plus R, so that 1 plus the returns, right? So I think it would be easier if I compute the cross return in the original data first. And then in the prior 6 data, we can use the product function. Sorry guys, that should be product. Right, and then we can now select these 5 months returns. And that should be our prior 6 data for the first stock in the first month during the investing period. So just to make it easier, I will go back to my original data and I calculate the cross return from here. So that should be 1 plus the returns. Now, in order to filter for the cross returns as well, I simply go back to my variable and redefine all the ranges. With the red data, I simply change column C to D. And I also change the stop data to include the header for cross return. We can try to see. Yes, so you see now it's calculated the cross returns for me. So I will define this period here as my period, investing period, right? So I call that E month. Define E month as range and set E month as equal to range I8 to I20. For each month during the investing period, I will calculate the prior 6-month returns and read it into the the result table on my right hand side. So this is the result table. I will define this table as well. So I will go dim. I call that momentum data, so MOM data, and set MOM data equal to range N2 to Q So you see my investing period has 13 values, right? So we have 30 months during the investing period and we have 10 stocks. So in total we should have 130 values for all month stock observations. Adding with the header, so we see the data will end at Q131. So you can choose a bigger data set just to make sure that you have enough space to store the results. I will also create the data set here, G return as range. So this is the cross return data, right? I named this so this range starts from I8 to L20. The reason I do that is I would simply, for each month in the investing period, I would simply copy that row, that whole row in the G return data into the final table here, and I would replace the last value from gross returns into prior 6 returns. Okay, so similar to the previous video, I would try to work out a formula so that we can link the row number using the indexes. So you see when we're dealing with the first stock, K would equal to 1 and M would equal to the number of monthly returns we have for each stock, right? So you see when M equal to 1, X equal to 1, K would equal to 1. And it's keep going down for 13 rows until it moves to the second stocks. When X equal to 2, M equal to 1, we have K would equal to 14. So the formula that link K, relate K to X and M would be 13 multiplied with X minus 1 plus M. So I'm going to use this formula to direct Excel to save the data accordingly. So inside the X for loop, I will create another M for loop. For M equal to 1 to 13, because I have 13 months in the investing period. I will end this loop by typing next M. Okay. So like I said, I would first copy the values for each investing month into the final table. So I will type momentum data dot rows. So this will be row K. So K is the index that I use to assign the cell number in the momentum data. That should equal to G return rows M. And because I'm assigning the value, I will dot value. Right, so this function now will will copy and paste the first row in the G returns data into the momentum data. And then I will replace the 4 cells in the first column, so that's the prior 6 columns, right, with the product of previous 5-month returns. In order to do that, I will select the date cell as the reference cell. I will then use the begin variable cells to define the beginning and another variable to define the ending point of the previous 5-month data. So this is similar to my out of sample video, right? I will dim ref cell as range, dim begin cell as range, and I also define another end cell as range. I create a period variable to link the begin cell and the end cell. So within the M loop, I will set the red cell equal to the first value in the E month, so that will be E month cells M. I will use offset function to refer to the begin cell, so the begin cell will be 6 months away from the reference cell, so that ref cell dot offset -6 and 0. I also use the offset function to define the end cell, so ref cell equal ref cell offset -2 0. Now the period would be the range between begin cell and end cell. So that's the period that I'm selecting here. In order to obtain the cross-return data from this period cell, I will move to the right by 3 columns. I will create a variable here called the prior data. In the for loop, I will now set the prior data equal to period dot offset. So from the period column, we will go to the right by 3 columns. There's no difference in the number of rows, so that we will have 0 for the row offsets. Now I will assign the prior 6-month returns by calculating the product of those values in the prior data. I would type application worksheet function product. Now I can type prior data into this function. Oh, we will need to go back and define k before we do all this. Yeah, so you see the problem that I'm having right now. That is because I forgot to define k, so let's go back and do that. Okay, so now I will define k before I start assigning values into the momentum data. So k would equal to 13 multiplied with x minus 1 plus m. Okay, so now I will press F8 to see if my code worked properly. So you see now it's started filled in the momentum data with the date ticker, returns, and prior 6. So that seems good. Now I stop my debugging and I will press F5 for the whole code to run. So it seems that we have enough returns for prior 6-month data. Now the next step is to sort stocks based on the prior 6-month returns. So this sorting step will have to be repeated for each month during our sample period. This step now will be very similar to the out of sample test. So you can have a look at my video on portfolio sorting before. Instead of sort stocks based on expected returns, we simply have to sort stocks based on the prior 6 months. And I also uploaded the file with all the code necessarily to sort portfolio for momentum. So please have a look, and if you have any questions, please post on Moodle forum. Thank you.